Please welcome Azure Antoinette, commissioned poet and author, millennial advocate.
We could be heroes. We could be heroes.
How you doing? I don't know if this thing is on. Oh, it's on. Hello. Hi. Wow. I had no idea this room was this large. Wow, there's a lot of you. How is everybody feeling? How's the day been? Great. Yes? So just this section here is having a great time. This section over here is like, we're not sure. We'll get back to you. Yes? Still? How are you doing? That was hard. That was rough for them. That's difficult. We're in the middle of this freight shipping crisis. The UPS is, I love them, but I don't know what's happening over there. And oh no, what's happening? Is that my fault? Guys, am I doing something in the back? No? They gave me a thumbs, oh, yep, here. Nope, still thumbs up. This is gonna get awkward. Sure? Okay, if I look away and I go back to my friends here. Okay, they gave it to me. So anyhow, my name is Azure. It's my first time being with you all here at this conference. I had a really awesome dinner when I got in with Kathy and Mary yesterday, and those two are like, it's like a vacation and a happy hour, like all together, like by yourself. Just the three of us, but really just me, because they are themselves. So after getting off of a plane ride, I live in Los Angeles. People always ask me where home is, and I always tell them Terminal 3 at LAX, because that's where I am most often. I'm in the middle of the end of my first quarter tour, and this is my, 13th round trip, I think. So it's been a busy month. It's been a busy 30 days, but overall, it's been pretty awesome. I've gotten a chance to see some great faces. I've been to Boston a few times. I was here 3 weeks ago during your really awesome snow. So that was fun. So, winter for us in LA is like, did you bring your scarf? I didn't. And that's pretty much it. It was a real thing here. We got out the car and they were like, we're going to take you guys to this special place for dinner. It was my manager and I. He's from the Bahamas. So between the two of us, we were super prepared. And so I told him before we left, I said, Samuel, make sure you get some thermals. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm going to get it. So I sent him a few strongly worded text messages, just really pleading with him to just make sure he took care of himself. And so he showed up like maybe this much thicker than he was like the last time. And I saw him, he's like, no, I got a couple of thermals. And he was just out to about here. I mean, getting up was tiresome, just like walking. So we get out of the car, and you look out the window, and it's someone's two-story house, and the snow is at the top of the door. I mean, you live here. So I just was like, wow, that is commitment. This is really something. And then we went to bed that night, and I looked out the window, and it was snowing, and I was like, yo, this is rough. Man, so we woke up the next day and we were watching, was it NECN, is that right? Is that the local news? And they were like, well, it turns out that you've heard of road rage, now there's snow rage. And I'm like, wow, what is that like? Is that like just like a snow fight with a municipal district worker, or what happens there? So I was pleasantly surprised to come back and experience the temperatures. I got in yesterday to this hotel, and there was a gaming conference here, and it looked like Marvel and Comic-Con and all of the action figures just kind of threw up in the lobby. And the concierge, he was helping me get out of the car. He's like, yeah, there's a lot of empty basements in America. And I was like, you're funny, that's good. And then I had dinner with Kathy and Mary, and then it just went on, just laughs for days. So all in all, it's been a great trip. To give you a little bit of background, I was raised in a single-parent household. My mom is a litigator, and when she went through the adoption process for my sister and I, she suffered from ovarian cancer in her mid-20s and couldn't have children. So she was a LA County sheriff at the time, and when they told her when she was applying for adoption for myself, they told her that she had to get a job with a lower mortality or else she wasn't going to be granted the petition. So as anyone would, she decided to resign from the LA County Sheriff's and put herself through law school because she's just that kind of low-key, go-with-the-flow type individual. I always describe her as Hillary Clinton and the mother of the Cosbys as one person. And a good dressed-down outfit for her is always a nice Ralph Lauren blazer and some penny loafers. Like she always feels that that's a good way to kind of kick off her heels. So, so it's myself, my sister who's 16 months older than I, who I always tell people is my exact opposite. I always use the adage, if you were like a flame, she'd be like, whoa, you should probably get them some help. And I'm, oh my God, the world's on fire. So, between the two of us, my mom said that she was really lucky that we didn't ever succumb, or she didn't ever succumb to vices. And I told her, if you need something to take the edge off, Mom, I'm sure we can help you get it figured out. And she just looked at me. So, it was a pretty astringent household. We weren't allowed to watch television growing up. We could only watch two things, National Geographic and Special Correspondence with Maria Shriver. She went to high school in the 60s. She said nothing good ever came from a woman who didn't have her own set of pearls, and everything that's good about the American government came from the time of Camelot and the Kennedy era. So that's just how she spoke. She also answered in the royal we, so when people would crouch down when I was younger and ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would always answer, I'm going to be a singer. My mom would soccer arm me back the way that you do when you press on the brakes too soon, and she would say, we aren't entertainers. And I would say, the little me that you saw up there, I mean, how cute, right? The little afro, I was really excited. I always had on rain boots and a skirt that didn't match. I was just always like, I'm going to be myself. And she's like, that's fine, read a book. So, she would be like, well, we're not entertainers. And I was like, who is this we? And she's like, well, that's not what we are. We're doctors and we're lawmakers and, we help order. And I was like, well, when you say it's time for bed, does that mean we have to go to bed? And she's like, nope, just you. And I'm like, there seems to be some inconsistencies. Which at the time I wasn't able to say the word inconsistency correctly, which then would spar her saying I think it's time for another book report. And because that's just the kind of fun we had in my house. As I said, low key, she was like a pina colada, in the wintertime, except not at all. More like tap water in a styrofoam cup. So, fast forward, get all the way through high school. My mom instituted the law that whenever we wanted to do something, we would have to write open and closing arguments and be open to at least one cross-examination. We lost every single case, every case. Football games, sleepovers, whatever it was, we lost. Overruled, overruled, overruled. That's it. You did a great job. You're going to do great. Things are going to open up for you real soon. So, It was rough. It was rough. First thing I memorized was the preamble to the Constitution. Our first novel was, I was 6. We finished To Kill a Mockingbird, which gave me my nickname Boo, from Boo Radley. It was all literature, so much fun. So kids would come back from summer break and they would be like, this happened on 90210, or I learned how to do this, and we went with my parents to Hawaii, and I'd be like, oh my God, the unrest in the Gaza Strip, you guys. What are we gonna do? So it was rough. School was really interesting. I graduated high school at 16 years of age. My mom skipped me up to be with my sister. When you ask her why, she'll tell you she just didn't want to go through the angst of winter formal and prom twice. I don't know who says stuff like that. And she really means it, she's really serious. So, she was like, we'll have to go to Talbot's when you get your first internship. And we'll get you a nice navy blue suit. Everything's going to be great. Wait till you see. I'm going to take you to Things Remembered, get you a business card holder, and I'm going to engrave it with your initials. And I'm like, but I don't have any business cards. She's like, you will. You're going to have them. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait. Let's hurry. Let's get there fast. So I applied to musical theater schools, had gotten in, and my mom said that I wasn't old enough to go to a 4-year. She was right. So she had me go to a junior college. I studied musical theater there, and she said that I could do that on the contingency that I took a full load of G's. So I was taking business administration and human resources courses, burned myself out very, very quickly the day I called my mom and told her that I decided to change my major to be business administration and human resources full-time, you would have thought that the hallelujah chorus just descended right down through her conference room. She was so pleased, and she's like, I'll get to things remembered right away. She's like, this is so good. She took so many deep breaths. I was like, I don't know why this moves you so much. I don't know. I'm not happy about this. And she's like, you'll see, this is perfect. And she always talked in that dulcet tone. And she was like, I'm so proud of you. This is so, wait till you see the doors that open up for you. And I'm like, I can't wait. I hope they look like your blazer. Is everyone in the doors dressed like that? Khakis? Okay. So I started an externship at a private security firm and started out there just kind of answering phones and helping out with filing. I ended up staying there for 4.5 years. I'd gotten promoted quite a few times. Each promotion, my mom would send some new accoutrement for my office and a plaque, some sort of, sign. Sometimes it was a Bible verse, sometimes it was motivational from some of the promotional catalogs she could find. She was super excited when she could incorporate the company logo and my name all in one package. I had a plant and a terracotta pot. It was a Boston fern, again, because everything that was good came from here. And she was like, oh, I'm so proud of you. She came to have lunch with me once, and we got a Caesar salad at the Nordstrom Cafe, and she was like, look at you. And I was like, are you crying? What is happening here? And she was like, I'm just so proud. So I was doing that. I burned out pretty quickly. It was year 6. I was driving home. Rush hour traffic in Los Angeles was pretty horrendous. It was about 1.5 hours to 2 hours each way. I get home. I stop by Rite Aid or whatever the store was at the time. I pick up a box of Chardonnay and Bugles, corn snacks. And because I was 23 at the time, and I'm sitting on my couch, still half-dressed, and I'm watching a show called Def Poetry Jam. And a poet from the south side of Chicago comes on and says this poem that changed the course of my life. She says, speak or let the maker take back your throat. March or let the creator rescind your feet. Dream or let your God destroy your good and fertile mind. This is your warning. This is your birthright. Do not let this universe regret you. So, totally. That's what I said. I said woo too. So then I put down my box of Chardonnay. And I was like, oh my God, the universe is regretting me when I took off my other shoe, and I decided I was going to quit my job. So I woke up the next day. I marched into my AVP's office, whose first name was Kathy. We definitely were not on a first name basis. I burst into her closed door of our open door policy company. And don't you love that? Come talk to us anytime, make an appointment. So, HR, you know how we do. So I burst in there. I said, Kathy. And she spins around in her chair like real slow. It felt like the Matrix. I don't even know if it was out then. And she says, yes, Azure. And I said, I just wanted you to know that I quit my job. And she says, cool. And I was like, huh. It felt lackluster. I thought this was going to be bigger. In my mind, it felt larger. And she's like, no, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, because the universe, you have to open yourself, Kathy. Then the universe will call you, and it's going to call you specifically. And when it calls you, pick up that phone, Kathy, and you answer it. You go. You got to get out of here. You got to put it down. You got to go. And she's just looking at me. She's holding the, profit and loss statements, and she's like, She's like, we really don't all know what you're still doing here. And I was like, I don't know, this isn't getting better. None of this is going as I planned. She said, no, it just, there are those people that kind of walk into your life where you always see that they have kind of this enormous potential and you hope that they figure it out. So I said, okay, well, I'm putting my foot down. And she was like, okay, Azure, do it. So I marched back down to my office. I call my sister, again, very much my opposite. I said, hey, Dee, I just wanted to let you know, her name's Delia, I call her Dee. I said, I just wanted to let you know that I quit my job because I don't want to be universal regret. And she said, cool. Did you call Mom? And I was like, no. And as women do, when your voice starts to elevate in pitch, things, you've gotten a little nervous, and your friend's like, how do I look in this dress? And you're like, so good. Amazing. I love it. You don't look good, girl. Take that off. So, she says, I'll tell you what, when you call Mom, call her, let me know what she says, and then call me back. And I was like, totally, I'll totally call you back. And she's like, all right. So I hang up. I call my mom, who can see that it is me because it's caller ID, and she clearly knows who she is, but she always answers her phone personally with her first and last name because she is just informal. So she says, Octavia Robinson's office. I said, hey, Mom. She says, hello, Azure. I said, I just wanted you to know that I quit my job. And she said, great. When do you start your new one? And I said, Mom, there comes a time with the universe, and you have to open yourself. You have to be careful. So, and she said, would you have a pretty good idea about your second interview? And I was like, yeah. So the universe will call you, Mom, and when it calls you, and I just start spinning. I'm pretty sure I'm sweating fairly profusely at this moment. And she stops and she takes another deep breath and she says, what have you done? I said, well, Mom, I'm going to be a poet. And then the phone went dead. And there were no cells. It was landline to landline. We weren't even texting. Everybody was still on Nextels chirping, being all annoying in the grocery store. And so I called back. My mom's secretary of like 13 years answers. I said, I got disconnected from my mom. And she says, I know. And I said, well, can I talk to her? And she's like, I don't think now's a good time. And I was like, yeah, totally. Yeah, it's good. So long story short, I volunteered for a series of years with a teen mentorship program, keyword volunteer. I had 6 different call center jobs, was down to $3.38 in my bank account, full default with my Sallie Mae loans. The letters had gone from the standard white, just a friendly reminder, to if you don't contact us by this date, X. And so things had gotten very, very dire. I get a call from my executive director, and she says, the First Lady is looking for somebody to write a poem specifically for her for this event that she's having in Sacramento. I said, great, sounds good. She says, it doesn't pay. I said, nothing does. So it's cool, like I'm with it, no problem. I was like, but I don't know if I can have gas to get there. And she's like, no, we'll pick you up. And I was like, perfect, I won. So, my mom was completely, all open prayers at this point. Where did I go wrong? What have I done? Every time she sees me, she bursts into tears, like, no more things remembered. We did not go to Talbot's. Like, it was all a mess. So I call her up and I said, Mom, you're never going to believe how I got a job for it. And she's like, did they take you back? And I said, no, Mom, they didn't take me back, nor did I apply. And I said, I'm going to go write a poem for Maria Shriver. She took a really deep breath and she said, do you still have your pearls? And I'm like, is that's your question? That's what you want to, that's your takeaway? If I still have my pearls? And she's like, you know what? I'll leave work right now. Let's get to Talbot's. We're going to have to, I think if I can catch the 4:30 train, I can make it there. Let me make a few calls. I'll be right there, So she comes over, blah, blah, blah. We go get the terrible twin sweater set that none of us wore ever. My sister and I have 17 of them each, so all with the tags on. And always like a dusty rose pink. And I'm like, Mom, who are you? And better question, who are we? And so I go up, I do this poem for Maria Shriver in Sacramento. She comes up through the crowd. I had never seen her in person, and she's crying. And I said to myself, this is really bad. Wait till your mom finds out that you made Maria Shriver cry. Like, you think you did it last time. You really did it now, Azure. And she invites me to open the women's conference in Long Beach, which was in 2010. And at that point, she could have asked me to sell oranges with her on the side of the overpass, and I would have been just as stoked. And so we go to this conference. Oprah Winfrey was one of the honorees, Sandra Day O'Connor, and the Dalai Lama, and all of these amazing people. I ended up performing that evening, met Oprah Winfrey, who grabbed me by the shoulders and thanked me for my contribution as she passed her Fritos to Gayle King. And I was just like, I never pegged her as a Fritos type of person. Like, she always gave me more of like a pita chip, like a distinguished chip, like a distinguished snack. So, and at the time I had like $4. So I was like, man, this is really surreal. And after that, I got signed to a national lecture agency. I got put in the Oprah magazine that following year, and I literally have been on tour, running around the country ever since. Not so much talking about this story, but definitely encouraging people to follow their passion, encouraging companies to always pay attention to their employees, talking about the importance of human equity and really seeing the people that you work with, really understanding how crucial it is that you ask someone how they are and stick around for the answer. Not to say that everyone's gig is a poet. TD Ameritrade has been one of my corporate partners for 3 years. And they're like, we love when you tell this story, Azure, but if you could put a little less emphasis on the quitting your job part. We've had a few unsettling emails. So I followed up in the next state and was like, hey guys, think that's awesome that you're so moved. Please do not write my name on your exit interview. Like, I want to stay employed too, you know? So it has grown into a career that I couldn't have dreamed of at the time. I think that going through everything that I went through with my mom and being nurtured in an environment that I was by mentors while I was working in the corporate space really helped groom me into being an artist that can be successful in your genre and also be able to translate so that you can work with business. I believe very much in history, in tradition, and lineage, and I know that my generation has a bad habit of understanding that we did not create everything around us. Everything is not a startup, and I really commend all of these organizations that I get a chance to travel around the country and speak to because they are rooted in years of history, and they are rooted by people who have spent their lives trying to build something meaningful. I asked Kathy today, last night, how do you want this to go? Like, what would you like the charge to be? And she was like, I want you to rile them up. You know, Kathy is, she's subtle. She's like a daisy. like a transformer. That's exactly right. So I wrote a poem that I'd love to share with you guys, just to kind of give you a little bit of encouragement from one person to the next. And so I'm gonna do that for you now. It's new, so I don't have it memorized. My mother would be like, I don't understand why you wouldn't have prepared. I would have prepared. I don't know why you would have done that. People always ask me now, like, how does she feel? And she'll tell you, point blank, period, that she was always supportive, and she has no idea what it is I am referring to all over the country. So just for her benefit, I wrote it down in my book that's for sale outside, and she's like, Azure, why would you publish that? And I'm like, I just want them to know it's okay. It's okay. And she's like, I didn't say it. I didn't hang up the phone. I got disconnected. I was like, by your hand hanging it. That is the disconnection mechanism. She's a hoot. She really is. She was like, you should let me come on the road with you. I'm like, you'd forget that you weren't here, and then you would come up from the table and join me on stage, and then it would be very confusing for everyone. So here it goes. It seems to be that some of the most profound and awe-striking questions have the fewest words and always tend to ask us about ourselves. How are you? Who are you? Where are you? And what exactly is it that you do? As responsible adults who once were unwieldy toddlers gambling on that one extra cookie or riding your bike to the end of the street after dark, it seems that we've lost our courage. So we just reach into the Carter of expected fill answers. We reach for the texture of our children when someone asks us about ourselves. We reach for the grist of our immigrant parents who wanted to give us a better life, or just simply careen to the memory of the grandfather who was so proud to be born and bred American that you could have sworn that he was a founding father himself. We cling to the past. We cling to the normal. We cling to the useful and accessible information. We define ourselves by those that have come before us and what they did or did not accomplish. Because as adults, it is no longer permissible to tell the truth. That owning a mistake is the kind of investment that your Morgan Stanley rep would never encourage you to make. There is far too much room for the shame. To admit that the career that was placed over you as a cloak of obligation stopped moving you towards motivation long before you accepted your assignment. There is little pride in saying that we have raised our children, we have re-reared our aging parents, and everyone seems to have their own lives now, and you know what? I really don't know who I am. I'll tell you what I find to be beautiful. about all this nerve-wracking vulnerability. There isn't a single molecular soul who has the answer. There's no multi-billion-dollar corporation that's hired the best and brightest of filaments to construct the code to generate confidence, because the truth is, you are the texture of your children. You are your history, the grist of your parents, the lineage of immigrants. You are the descendant of a founding father, and you know what? You're more. The career that was placed upon you as a cloak could never define you. However, you, being the interstellar human that you are, you do make the career. You make the brand, you make the product, you make the through line, reverberating with heartbeat and content. You're more. You are the lifeblood of loyalty. Yes, I know that we get up routinely every day and put on our respective garbs and try to keep things fresh. But trust me, there was nothing about you that ever had the makeup of mundane. See, you have been a dynamo since embryo. And I imagine that all of your cerebral synapses collectively display the most arresting fireworks, the kind that make you forget that you were ever even holding your breath in the first place. You're a change maker, a weather vane, an anchor, an architect, you're a sculptor. So when people ask you who you are, tell them that you're a vessel. Why don't you tell them that your job is desperately trying to make the next Sistine Chapel, but with your eyes closed and in the dark? Tell them that you are working on a positive social system, the kind of system that grows venture capital's investments into global phenomenons way past the seedling. Tell them that you're looking to reintegrate the physical handshake. Tell them that you're looking to make the concept of meeting face-to-face new again. Tell them that you're feverishly committed to bringing back the act of kindness as a trending topic. Tell them it's simple. When someone asks you how you are, answer, I'm brilliant. When they ask you where you are, tell them I'm architecting change. When they ask you what you are, tell them I'm a sculpting designer. And when they ask you that defining question that seems to have the power to ground all adults back to their childhood selves and wake you out of a sound sleep, what exactly is it that you do? Relax. Ground your voice in your diaphragm and let all of your fears seep into the back of your throat. Look them dead in the soul of their eyes. Extend your hand and say your first name, the way that you did in kindergarten, with your chest all puffed out, proud and unfiltered, and you tell them that I am in the business of humanity, and I celebrate people. Thank you so much.